You guys ready? We have a good time here. So thank you for being here. I know it's the last session, and so excited to see all of you here. How's the conference been so far? Good? What's the best thing? What's the best thing for you today? You are. Me? Project Ducks? Thank you. Isabel, how's today for you so far?
I like this keynote. I like to see what Microsoft is going with resource management and capacity analysis, so looking forward to that.
Good.
Yeah.
So, to get going, very excited this afternoon to talk about this idea on how we break bad project management. Anybody saw that show? Great show. There are certain things I can't say in this session, but you know what I'm talking about. So, what we're going to do is we're going to paint a picture of bad things that's going on today in the world of project management, but more importantly, show you practical, proven winning strategies on how you can overcome these bad project management situations with Microsoft suite of tools. So quick background for those that I haven't met. My name is Dux. I've been working in this field for a while now in the area of project management. And I first actually worked with Microsoft Project in the mid-90s. And in the last few years, worked a lot around SharePoint, Project Server, Project Online, and it's just been exciting. I'm from Washington, D.C., and really love the weather here today. We're getting 5 inches over there right now, so my wife's hating me.
I'm worse. I've come from Toronto, Canada.
Isabel?
So, hello everybody. Nice to be here with you guys again. Loving the conference so far. Originally from Colombia, coming from Canada. So happy to left that snow. There's no white thing here, so quite happy. Happy to be here with Docs. So get ready to share with you some experiences and trying to break bad project management practices. So I hope you enjoyed the session.
So, okay, let's get our conversation started. One of the things that I love with what I do, I travel around the world, and I had the privilege and honor to go to Australia a couple of times. And anybody been here?
Who's from Australia?
Any Aussies in the house?
Didn't you see disclaimer, if you come from Australia, bring wine to the speakers?
So, this is a global icon, right? The Sydney Opera House, the best of the best. And you were telling me some stats, interesting stats?
Yeah, well, it's a multi-venue performing arts center, and it has, hosts millions of people. It has like over 1,500 shows every year. So I said, you know what, Dux, how come you relate good project management practices, how even you question this with such an iconic place and, one of the best icons for buildings in the 20th century?
So one of the things I love is looking at global icons and history and all that. When I said, I wonder how they built this thing. It must be perfect. Not. If you want to see a case study of how to not manage projects, look up the Sydney Opera House. Way over budget. Poorly planned. In fact, no plan. They just kept building. No estimates, nothing. The whole project started in 1959. It finished in 1974. Now, don't get me wrong, bad became good today. Y'all with me? So there's hope in that big hotel they're building in North Korea.
The architect quit, actually, after the fact. Yeah. They have the whole story in the website if you want to go Google it. It's quite interesting.
It's an amazing story. And that's what we want to do in this session. We're going to talk about things that are going on in your world as a project manager, as a PMO, as an executive. But there's hope. You can turn all this around and make it good. So I want to formally talk about what we're going to cover. Really 3 key areas we want to hit on in this hour. Number 1 is talk about what are some of these common challenges around resource management. Reporting or business intelligence and task management from different perspectives. We'll hear from project managers. We'll hear from PMO. We'll hear what the executives are asking for. So that's one of the things we want to highlight. And then we want to hear from you, too. What are some of the other areas that you're feeling a lot of pain in?
Yeah, I think hopefully what we want to show is that even though we see some bad practices around there, you can identify yourselves on what we're doing. And I think we all do that at some point in our maturity levels, in the different roles we play with the organization. And that's what we want to do, show what the bad practices are, and then come back with winning strategies and identify how different roles at different levels in the organization kind of act in different ways. And we need to understand those things every day in project management, implementing practices and processes. And then last, we're going to show you some winning strategies. We have collapsed them so you can have very key information so you can go back to your place and identify where you can actually bring some impact and bring some learnings from the conference itself. So to go through these objectives, we're going to collect this session as you know. So I don't have to introduce the mass, but furthermore, ladies first.
That's right. So
I forgot. I'm coming from Latin America. So I switched the slide. Made you switch the slide.
So quickly, Isabel, she has a long-standing experience with project management. She works for AMD, and you guys know AMD, right? Yeah. So she runs one of the big IT PMO at AMD out of Canada, and been using this technology. Loves this technology for a while. In any trivia that you want to share with everyone? I know you do a lot. You do triathlon, right? Or biking or something like that?
Biking. Biking. Yeah. Biking is easy. Putting projects to get people to bike is easy. Putting things together to run high technology projects is a little bit difficult. So I know who comes from large organizations. It's always a challenge. So I think people understand that. But yeah, I've been using Microsoft Project since the very early stages when Ludovic this morning was going back and he showed 2003. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about it. It was quite painful. So long way through that. So with me is Dux. I don't need to introduce anything more. I mean, he's one of the most valuable professionals for both SharePoint and Microsoft Project, so very knowledgeable, very dynamic. So I trust even if you don't learn, you're going to be entertained. So happy to be here on the stage with you.
So let's do this. I wrote SharePoint for Project Management, one of the first business-focused books around SharePoint. Why don't I give everybody a copy? You like that? All right. So I'm going to pass this box around. Just put your contact email. I just need email. And I'll send you a code so you can get and claim your copy of the book. All right, I'm going to pass this around. Additionally, all the resources we show here, I'll email that to you as well. And by the way, what I'm going to email is a link. I won't email a 10-gig file, okay? And obviously this deck. And if you want to put money, please, that would be appreciated.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get the session started. And then let's see how you can identify yourself with some of the challenges that we believe most people have. So anybody here from large enterprise corporate organizations? What about the smaller companies? Private industry? Government? Okay. Public? Okay, I think we all come from different type of companies, and regardless of the shape and the size, the type of projects you do, I think we can all relate to the different challenges we see, and I'm pretty sure that these are very familiar to all of you.
Isabel, one of the things I'd like to highlight is that bucket of visibility. I'm sure, again, no matter who you are, what organization you're from, leadership and even customers, they just want visibility. What's going on, right? They want their dashboards. In my session earlier, I was kidding around, but I think it's true. If you want to get promoted at work, just go to your boss, look at them in the eye, and say, dashboard, instant promotion. Right? So, but joking aside, these are some of the core things that's been a pain for a lot of us, no matter who we are, you know, in the last 10, 20, 30 years. And the good news is there's hope. But let's first look at, depending on who you are, what are the challenges people are facing. For example, if you're a project manager, here are some of the common things we hear a lot. So,
you know, when we're working on a project, I need to find out if one of my devs is doing the work they're supposed to be doing. Normally I have to email them. I have to ask them and say, hey, are you done with this? And of course, they're probably checking their Facebook or something else. Maybe they get back to me, maybe they don't. It'd be nice, you know, they do their task, automatically get an update somehow that tells me, oh, they're done. And then I don't have to email them, and I know that we're on schedule, and then everything's working out all right.
So how does that affect your work as a project manager?
It's tough, you know. As me, I have to know all these moving pieces that are happening. What's occurring? This has to go. The next thing has to follow after it, and I have to be able to manage that entire flow. And if I can't do that, if I don't know the pieces that are falling in the right spots, I can't do my job. It just doesn't work.
And today is just email.
Today it's just email, you know, and you know, I'm okay with the email sometimes, but other times, you really got to have these real-time updates, maybe like a Yammer type of thing, or just something. Text to my phone lets me know that this stuff is occurring.
So who empathizes with Chris? He's like living my life now, right? And if we analyze, what the key issues are. From a project manager perspective, I mean, even myself, I still deal with this day in, day out, and much less now. It's just the inefficiency of collaboration. I was sharing earlier a stat. Last year, the Project Management Institute did a survey to global certified project managers. What's the number one tool you rely on for project management? You know what the answer was? Email. Excel's number 3. In 2013, we rely on a 1973 frickin' technology to manage projects. No way, docs. Where's that status update? Let me check my email. Where's that budget information? Let me check my email. We live in a world where everybody has their iPhone 5S, that you have GPS in your car, you have TiVo at home because you have to record Dancing with the Stars. And we use email to facilitate project collaboration. Not good. We also are challenged as project manager with untimely status updates. And in a lot of cases, it's not, people are just busy. We're doing more than we could. And I go to organizations all the time, docs, how can you expect people to put their time in? They already put their time in the payroll system. Or our devs already put it in TFS, right? Or other configuration management system. And you expect them to put their updates in another system? Bless your heart. We deal with ineffective change management, scopes. We live in a dynamic world. When I was learning to be a project manager, one of the things it says there, if you're a good project manager, once you baseline your project plan, nothing changes. Boatload of crap. That guy sold a lot of books. Good for him. Change is change, but we don't have an effective way to manage it. Think about it. A lot of organizations today, they fill out some change request form in a Word document, email it to the ever mysterious CCB, and you don't hear back. Lastly, inconsistent tools. There's email, and in this age of BYOD, where we need to get stuff done, we can't wait for IT, what do? We end up with a Dropbox, a Basecamp, Google Apps. They're fine, but what does that mean to your enterprise? What does that mean to compliance? Anybody have to deal with SOX, Sarbanes-Oxley? HIPAA? Right? FDA Part 11? Run DMC? So, very hard. Now, if you think the project manager is suffering alone, they're not alone. Heisenberg, who works at the PMO, is not happy. Their challenge as well. So let's listen to what folks at the PMO are dealing with, are frustrated with.
Yes, we're getting ready for that project review tomorrow. I cannot locate the project managers and the information is not easily available. I don't know. They say that they don't have time. They seem to be so busy. They are chasing down status updates and I don't have the information for the project review tomorrow. I really don't know what to do. Process compliance is down the floor. No, it's not as easy as, clicking a button and getting a report. I have to gather a batch of information. They need to send me via email, and then I have to put together the one-pager for the PowerPoint slides. So I need probably like a couple of days before the review to be able to put everything together. I know, this is frustrating. I don't understand why things are supposed to be simple. Our process is very clear. It's in the website, but nobody seems to get it. I don't know, it's very disappointing. And I feel that, nobody's paying attention to the PMO. So who's PMO here? Who's in my boat? Okay, so do you have any other complaint in addition to this? Because I can write a book of probably 1,000 pages with all the PMO complaints. I didn't want to bore you, so I pick a few. But this is the life of the PMOs. Chasing project managers who are also chasing the project team members to get updates. The PMO needs to put everything together for the super executives, and then you're trying to get the information from the PMs. Some of them live down in the weeds on every task, and then you don't seem to find holistic information to give to your executives. And then on top of that, some PMO have very high expectations, and they want every PM to be the super-duper PMP certified guy who understands everything at once. And, that's not reality. Project managers are a big mix as well as PMO are. So there are a few key points here that I would call this like the PMO bad project management practices. The first area is the process. A PMO could be an enabler, but it also can be an impediment for project management execution. And some PMOs, and you can see the PMO staff, they can probably do forward pass and backward pass with an ABACO, perhaps. Like, they know project management. They have known every publication from PMI. They probably can write a lot of books. And then it's easy for a PMO to become over-processed and to become very distant from the real people who are executing project management practices, who are the PMs. So you can have a bunch of processes and diagrams and documents, and there is a job aid for everything that the PMs need to do. So you end up with a website full of process documentation, and you feel frustrated because people say, well, that's the PMO process. And really, it's not the PMO process, it's the organization process for everyone to be aligned. So this is a very easy to fall into mistake from a PMO perspective. The other one is the nightmare that you create for everybody, gathering project information. You are not providing the right artifacts that makes easy for people to bring information down from the lower level detailed task all the way up for an executive reporting. So it becomes a nightmare for everybody, and the PMs end up spending a lot of time doing something we call the translation layer. From the real project information and the real updates from the team members, converting all the information for something the PMO will like, so you're ready for the presentation. So here's another area where we make things more complicated for the PMs. Who were the PMs? I apologize on behalf of all the bad PMOs like mine, because we all do this. But we're going to give you strategies later on. The other one is what I call the PMO as a second language. My language is not English, as you can tell. And I have to go to English as a second language to understand what English was about. This cannot happen to your PMO. Don't make your PMO language something that people need to go train for, because what you talk is something that nobody gets. And you have now project managers, I don't know if for your companies, Dax, you're more familiar with some PMs. Not every PM is PMP certified. They may not know everything.
Well, but in a lot of organizations I've been, even if they don't have a clue what these languages mean, they just keep, yeah, good job, WBS.
Yeah.
Well,
backward
pass, forward pass.
We love acronyms. We love
Seahawks.
acronyms. You are in these meetings and you talk about the WBS and the risk assessment and all this stuff. And you may be using the same words, and people imagine different things. So you just need to make sure that you oversimplify things, that people understand what you're talking. Because in my organization, and some people say, well, you're an AMD, you're a large company. Well, you know what? It's not as easy. Large companies are actually a bit more complicated than that, because it's not that you have a bunch of resources, it's you have a bunch of mini practices among departments, so getting misalignment is easier. So having a language that everyone understands is very important. And the other piece is that there are now people stepping up to take the role of project manager when they don't know project management. In fact, they don't know Microsoft Project. It may look like Excel, and they know, oh yeah, I can do that, but they don't understand what the dependency is, what the impact of those things are. So those are the practices that we as PMO sometimes fall into, that are things that we need to avoid in the future.
And the worst part is, as project managers and PMO, in the end, who do we subscribe to? The executives, the decision makers.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, if we do a bad job as a PM or a PMO, the executives won't be happy.
Correct. If you're a PM or you're a PMO, I think we can struggle with different challenges, but at the end, we're trying to answer the same question.
How can we better support executives? At the end of the day, they want the information when they want it, in the form that they want it, at the time that they want it. One good example is, and we'll tell you the rest of the story later, is about 2 years ago, I worked with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, their Office of Water, and at that time, their challenge was this. They don't have visibility into what's going on in their IT portfolio of IT projects in a given fiscal year, $40 million worth. Now, traditional government, and it is what it is. They work with a lot of contractors and vendors. The only way they get updates is project files are being emailed to them, or Excel files, what have you. And once they figure out what's going on, aggregate the data, it's too late in a lot of cases to make decisions, right? Which costs taxpayers money. So at that time, the executives, us, the taxpayer, we didn't have visibility, and if we did, it's too late. So that's a consequence. And I'm sure you can think of other consequences too, not being able to support the executives to allow them to better make decisions. So that has to stop.
It has to stop. And I think people need to learn how to deal with executives because they are not going to go away, but they live in a different planet. So you need to learn how to deal with them. They want answers to questions, and we're very bad at answering the question. An executive asks a question, and we tell them a soap opera about everything that's happening in the project. And sometimes you talk for 5 minutes, and the question is not answered. But you have to remember, if you're a PMO or if you're a PM, they have the decision power. They need to be able to make decisions and make the right decisions. That's what we all want. Company success, good decisions. So either you are a PM or a PMO, what you need to focus is what are the questions that they need answered and focus on those. They see information that we don't see. They probably know things that are upcoming that they are not allowed to tell. So we just need to understand, they are like that. Again, they are not going away. We just need to enable them better.
So enough is enough, right, Isabel? All right, so let's do this. Are you guys ready to break bad project management? Only
I don't
Gary
see the energy.
Are you guys ready to break bad project management?
Oh.
Yes, whatever.
Didn't you have coffee in the break? I saw plenty of coffee.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to show you 3 winning strategies on how you can break bad project management. Very fundamental, yet very important. And we're going to show you step by step what these 3 things mean in the areas of being able to collaborate efficiently, manage effectively, and then win consistently through time. In the end, what we hope that you realize is you're able to deliver project management success on your terms. I mean, there's a lot of great theories and methodologies, whatever, but at the end of the day, it's about you, it's about your organization, and then how can you do that with the Microsoft suite of tools?
Yes. And it's very important to that because in all the solutions that we have, we tend to rely on the Microsoft Professional Services, or we go engage with a partner, or we go read a book, go to a website, and we always want a full recipe for success. And really, the only one who understands what the company operates, what could be applicable and what not, is you. So it's important to go on your terms because there is really no recipe other than one that you can build for yourself. I usually get questions from other PMOs and peers that say, oh, we got this wrong. We started with timesheets. I'm like, why you got it wrong? Maybe that was the best place for them to start. There are other companies that start putting a Microsoft Server implementation, and they start with no detailed task, pure visibility to status at the project level. They don't even assign tasks to resources. So everyone has their own recipe. So very important to go deliver project management on your own terms.
So first things first,
yeah,
right?
The first one?
Before we look at what these winning strategies are, just to paint a picture, you've seen this a lot, and really Microsoft's vision around project management varies around the level of complexity, how many people you work with, is it formal, is it informal? So it has a lot of options and tools and choices for you. It's not just Microsoft Project. You've seen a lot of it this morning and in some sessions, but again, I just want you to realize when we talk about deliver project management on your terms, there's a lot of different options and solutions that would meet your specific needs. And in fact, even in your own organization, the needs may be different across the board, across different groups. So first, let's look at the first winning strategy. The first winning strategy is the idea of allowing your team to collaborate efficiently. You got to get everybody on the same page quickly. And what I mean by this, before you start using all these tools, I mean, who already start playing around with their free Project Online tenant? Right? It's okay, yeah, it's good stuff. But keep in mind, a tool is a tool is a tool, right? You know, I've worked a lot in this field, and oftentimes in the past when customers come to me, Docs, I want Project Server. I go, why? Just like you, they're very quiet. Makes me insecure as an immigrant to this country that my English is not good enough. So I asked another question. ¿Por qué? Docs, because our projects are behind, it's over budget, so we need Project Server or Project Online. I go, what's your game plan? What's your process? Oh, we don't have one, we don't need one. Wrong answer. That's where a lot of organizations fail. You've been there, I see the guilty faces. You've been in organizations where they decided to roll out Project Server. Maybe a day everybody was excited, and past that, everybody hates it. Project Server sucks. Project sucks. You have those people? When you go back to work, you see them again, and they tell you project sucks. Look at them straight in the eye and say, project doesn't suck, you suck. It's a freaking tool. You're a tool, Docs. No. So what I want to say is, to collaborate efficiently, you got to get your game plan. And gang, I'm not saying you got to have the 44 processes and 9 knowledge areas memorized. No. What I would do when I work with customers, first thing, I want to get everybody on the same page. I would ask, okay, so how does projects work here? I fire up Visio, very simple, or just draw, create this swim lane diagram, and figure out who's involved. Obviously, there's a sponsor involved. Somebody decided we need to work on a project. Okay, are we going to do this? Yes. Okay, so somebody needs to be the project manager, and that's very important. Okay, so once that project manager role is assigned, what is her or his responsibility? A schedule needs to be created. We need a project site, this, that, the other. Everybody see this? Well, everyone in that room may not agree, but you're getting them on the same page. How do we do this? But very tactical. It's not like, well, we got to first do project initiation and then project. I mean, that's all good, but what do people do? That's very important. Second thing, drawing something like this, let's go back, is very important because now we've defined roles and responsibilities. The problem today in the project management world, we don't have enough chokeable necks. Let me repeat that. Hashtag chokeable necks. Nobody wants to step up. Oh, I don't know who's responsible. Oh, it's IT. No, it's a PMO.
Me? No.
Yeah, you.
No.
So it defines roles and responsibilities. Now we're talking about if you're a PM, you're responsible to do this thing, which brings to my third point. Training. How many of your PMs you send to like a project boot camp and they come back, yeah, it's all right, but they don't use it. But here what they're talking about is contextual learning. If you're a PM, these are the things that you have to do. So you got to know how to create a scheduling project. You got to know how to create a project site. Well, if this is all the PM needs, guess what? This is just a 2-hour lunch and learn kind of thing. Contextual, role-based. So once you have your game plan in place, you're ready to start getting on the same page. And what do? Typically, when we get started with an email or with a project, your boss tells you, hey, docs, work on this project. Your first knee-jerk reaction is you fire up email and start contacting people. Hey, Isabel, you know, the boss told me to work on this. Do you have templates for this? Or I thought you worked on that. Y'all with me? Which is fine, but the problem is, through time, as the project progresses, this thing snowballs and email can get out of hand. So what I highly encourage you, gang, is to start using the suite of tools. So for example, now that you have Project Online, you can get everyone on the same page by creating a project site. And a project site is essentially utilizing SharePoint 2013. It serves as that one-stop shop for you, not only for your documents. I mean, I go to a lot of companies and say, yeah, we use SharePoint for project management. No, you use SharePoint for a file dump. 80% of global SharePoint deployment is nothing but a glorified file share. No matter how pretty it is, it's a file dump. Tough love here, right? The idea of a repository, getting everyone on the same page, you need those documents and artifacts, but there's so much more you could do. Project communications, for example. In 2013, there's a great capability called Site Mailbox. I'll show this in a second. Imagine a site mailbox is kind of like a mailing list. You know, I don't know about you. I've been in companies where every project has like a mailing list, distribution list kind of thing. So a site mailbox is kind of like a distribution list that's attached to the site. So you can still email, but the site will capture everything. Cool stuff. Right? The other aspect around using SharePoint as a project site, you've got locations where your risks, issues. You can put apps for your meetings, which I'll show you in a second. Very powerful, beyond email. I'm not saying you stop using email. It works hand in hand with email. The next thing to get everyone on the same page to collaborate efficiently is make sure we use familiar tools. The hardest part with all this technology is not the technology. Change. I work in Washington, D.C. I work with a lot of government organizations. These days, I talk about, from a public sector perspective, the value of enterprise social technology. But every time I say that, CIOs I work with or project managers I work with, they go, we don't need no them social. We don't want no pictures of cats in our project sites. Miss the point, right? Now, I understand the concern, and I think that is the wrong approach. We're pushing all these buzzwords, like she said, project sites, PPM, project online. What if your pitch is, you can still use Outlook, you can still use Excel, you can still use your project, but everything's just tied in together. Baby steps. You don't take that away. You don't take away email. Email is fine. But we can make it better. And I'll show you some examples in a second. The other aspect of getting everybody on the same page to collaborate efficiently is the ability for BYOD. So when we talk about BYOD, is to be able to facilitate project management on the go. We live in a world, forget our work lives, our personal lives. We live the phone, right? Anybody saw that movie, Her? Mm-hmm. It's like this movie that you can fall in love with your operating system or Siri, that kind of thing. I mean, we find that funny, but that day's coming. Not me, I'm married, I have 2 kids, okay? But we live in a mobile world. We live in a globally dispersed world. Gone are the days where you need, I need to VPN in to open that Microsoft project file. Right? Forget that. I mean, if we still have that mindset, not going to last long. So how do we facilitate that? Wouldn't it be so cool, like on my phone, because I have a calendar with my tasks? What if all my tasks shows up, including my project task, and I update it, I'm 50%, or I spent 2 hours. But as soon as I hit update, for some reason, automatically, it's going to update the project schedule. The dashboard would be updated. My PM would be alerted. Mind blown. Well, it's been possible for the last 5 years. And I'll show that to you. Yeah? Lastly, to collaborate efficiently, we should be able to support multi-platform, multi-system. So watch this. Is it playing?
Meet my colleague Alex. He and I are working on putting together a presentation for our boss. Thanks to SharePoint 2013, we're able to easily centralize and manage all related artifacts and communications for this project. On a typical day, Alex would start working from home using his Mac. He would check his email from a browser and start work from there. Looks like Alex is reviewing the task for the project, and he has some questions for me about the project. Just by using the browser, he's able to instant message me using technologies like Link. One of the key benefits of SharePoint 2013 is a deep integration with existing tools that we already use, like Microsoft Office, smartphones, and even web-based technologies. So even if I am out and about, I'm still not at the office yet, I can easily respond to Alex on my phone and update my task. The beauty with SharePoint 2013 is that I can continue working with Alex once I get to the office. You just assign me a task on the project site, and look at what happens. It automatically shows up on my task list in Microsoft Outlook. Isn't that cool, or what? Additionally, within Outlook, I can email the entire team directly using this neat feature called Site Mailbox. The Site Mailbox is available not only in Outlook, but it's the same Site Mailbox that the team can see and interact with directly on the project site. The Site Mailbox also provides visibility to all the documents I have in the project site. So what do you think? Are you excited? I am. This is the new way to work together with SharePoint 2013.
So I want to take that story further and extend that story in the idea of being able to collaborate efficiently. Which switch am I at? Which number for this machine? Let's try this. Oh, there you go. Okay, so let me throw in some more situation here. And this actually happened, right? So that's the project site, very simple. So I mentioned I work in the government world. And so there was a situation where we helped roll this out. This was even before Project Online, to an organization. And we came up with a game plan, figured out the process, we trained folks. We said, so instead of using email, Excel, and project, now we can use SharePoint and Project Server to help you better manage projects. But then as I was going around, and one of the things that they do in this organization, every project manager at the end of the month would have to send in expenses to accounting. And somebody in accounting would get these expense reports in Excel via email. On the average, they have 100 projects every month, which means, let's call her Miss Sally in accounting, gets 100 Excel files every month in her email inbox, takes it out, puts it. You got it? Come on, Gary. You know how you... Okay, thank you. All right. So, puts it on the desktop and creates this Excel summary of how much money they spent during the month for projects. Y'all with me? Do you know Miss Sally? So I talked to Miss Sally. I said, Miss Sally, how much time do you spend doing this process? On the average, total about 7 hours a month. And in some months, I have to call project managers to send it in, so I have to do overtime to get it done. I said, well, I could show you how to use it in SharePoint. We can tell people to put it there, and you don't have to deal with email. It says, Docs, forget it. I'm about to retire in a year. I know you're doing this SharePoint, Schmearpoint stuff, but I don't care. I love Excel. I live in Excel. I'm going to die in Excel. No, she didn't say she's going to die in Excel, but long story short, change, right? I love my tool. I go, all right, Miss Sally, no worries. I'm going to show you a feature in Excel. She goes, what? I'm going to show you a feature in Excel that you don't even have to deal with email. You're going to save time. Really? How? So here's the new way. I'm going to tell project managers, instead of sending you expenses in Excel via email, just put it in the project site, enter it, and as soon as they enter it, automatically it's going to show up in the Excel file sitting on your desktop. You don't have to go anywhere. Just in your desktop in Excel. We're bypassing email. Okay, show it to me. I go, all right. So I say, here's what we're going to do, Miss Sally. I'm going to fire up Excel. So I'm just going to simply, this is all out of the box, executive presentation, okay? Let's say this project, I'm going to pre-populate. They bought a projector and computer, so I type that in. I change column B to currency, and then I'm going to convert this to what's called an Excel table. And as soon as I convert this to an Excel table, voila, notice something comes up on the ribbon, publish and allow sync. So when I click that, a little dialog box would show up. It tells me, where do you want to sync this to, Ducks? So I'm going to grab the web address of that project site, go back to Microsoft Excel. Just take that word out. I just need the web address of the site. Let's call this project expenses. And let me hit publish. And as soon as I do this, friends, you know what's happening here? Excel is talking to that project site, logs me in, and guess what? This information is now available on both locations. So if I bring up that project site again, guess what? Project expenses are there. One-stop shop. As a project manager, everything I need about the project is here. My schedule, my document, my expenses. Every time I need to work on expenses, let's say I bought a car for the project. I need it, $80,000. Model X Tesla. And some of you may already know with SharePoint, we can put alerts, right? I can say, send an alert to Miss Sally every time this thing is updated. Y'all with me? That's called micromanagement. And as soon as Miss Sally gets an alert, what does she do? She comes back to Excel. She hits a button. I can train her on this. Hit sync. 1, 2, 3. Voila. Information is there. On her terms. But wait, there's more. Not only does the expense information show up, she can look at this and she looks at the receipt. Oh, you didn't buy a car, you bought carpet. And it's $800. Somebody just fat fingered it. Right? And not only can she look at it, update it, but she can push it back to the project site. And once this is back to the project site, let me go to that project expenses list again. Voila, refresh. 1, 2, 3. We see carpet instead of car updated on the project site. So it's still loading. Now, who doesn't know about this feature? Out-of-the-box feature. Okay? Is this useful for you? Now, somebody you're looking at, well, great, docs, it's all good, but that's 2013. Guess what? This is not even new. This feature came out, are you ready? In Excel 2003, in SharePoint 2003, out of the box. 11-year-old technology, right there. You got your money's worth now, right? I'm not going to tell your boss. But the point, now let's think about how power, I mean, this might be simple for some of you. Boy, when I show this to organizations, now Miss Sally doesn't have to deal with email. On her terms, in the world of project management, all she needs is expenses in Excel. That's her piece of the puzzle. That's cool. The project team, they want to work in a single location, in a project site, no more emailing stuff back and forth, and all the goodness of SharePoint, you could do it. So what Miss Sally did is she went on and added 99 other sheets for the 99 other projects. She created a summary sheet. You know how in Excel you have summary sheets, pull different data from different tables? Her pivot tables in chart, now she has her monthly report. 3 months later, I talked to her. I go, how's that coming? She goes, Dux, thank you. You know, I timed myself on the second month. Instead of 6-7 hours, I spent 4 hours. In the third month, I spent 3.5 hours. And in both of those months, I didn't have to do overtime. You talk about delivering value. And that's just one use case. Mm-hmm. So, Miss Sally, what do you do now with the time that you save? I learned about Facebook. That's a different problem. But hopefully, friends, what I want to stress here is, as we think about getting people on the same page, I'm not discounting existing tools. We're making it better, right? We saw it a lot already, but here, a lot of this you already have. Forget online. Forget Office 365. But obviously with online, you get more stuff, much more powerful. So, first step, winning strategy, I'll enable your team to collaborate efficiently. Step 2, Isabel?
Step 2, we're going to get into manage effectively now. So as Dux was mentioned, and I was surprised to see all these hands raising, is, and this goes especially for PMOs. And the reason I'm put an emphasis on PMOs is because what I said in the past, you could be an enabler or you could be an impediment to good project management practices. So getting to understand how all these technologies work and how you can make things easier for those people who are actually doing all the details in your project becomes key for you. So you don't want to go with the frustrations that we have in the phone. I need 2 days to put all the information together to create a PowerPoint deck for executives. So how you manage effectively those things is going to be key to success for all the people who are doing the work in the project management. That again, they may not be the PMO brains, they are doing their job, they are getting the job done. With that, I want to make an emphasis on the capabilities that the Microsoft PPM tool provides in terms of data and how you can normalize the data. The important part here is to understand that you can actually track relevant metrics at different levels. And we wanted to make an emphasis on task management, which is what most team members are more familiar with, and PMs spend a lot of time on creating the right tasks for the right teams. And also for the resources, what tasks are allocated to what, who's doing the work, when are you going to be done, where the deadlines are. When we get about and learn more about the task management and resource management and the way the Project Online or Project Server is able to enhance those capabilities, you can see how to take advantage of the reporting capabilities you have. I mean, you saw it this morning when Heather was right-clicking and getting those pictures, copy-paste, and it was right ready for PowerPoint. It saves a lot of time. I don't know in your PMOs, but when you do project reviews and project managers need to spend time, like it's a matter of hours, days, when you ask your PMs to do a status report, they all complain because they don't have time to put everything together. So in a very easy way, you can make sure that the data that you have at the lower detail levels, that could be at the resource level, that can roll up to nice web parts in Microsoft Project called the Resource Center View, or you can have information at the project level, capture information at that level without having to go to the tasks, and then report in the project center. Who has used Project Online or Project Server? Okay, and since 2010, you can create those project detail pages that you can easily capture information about a specific project right at the project level. I'm going to share a story. We had an issue with cross-project dependencies. And oh my goodness, we need to understand how my project impacts the other project and my other project manager. And people believe that having cross-project dependencies need to be done with a perfect Gantt, scheduling, and finish-to-start dependencies. It's very difficult if you don't have a PM crowd that are at the same level in scheduling techniques. So we did something very easy. We pull up a custom field with all the project names that we had in the server, and then we ask each PM in a task level, well, this task is late, and it's because it's depending on this project. And it was just a matter of picking the project from a drop-down list, not even the click in the dependencies button. And there are formulas that you can use that can roll up all this information at the project center level in Microsoft Project, whether you're doing online or project server. So it's very important that PMOs learn how to take advantage of the capabilities and how to make sure that all that data that is coming from the project execution, down from the details, you can roll it up at the level of visibility that you want. So we have some views, and thus we want to switch to the demo part. But for the ones who are not...
So a lot of you, again, have seen this, but we're going to quickly show, going back to what Isabel was talking about, being able to manage effectively, especially from a PMO level. Mm-hmm. So with Project Online, one of the key areas there, or capabilities, is this Project Center, where it gives you an aggregate view of what's going on in your organization from a PMO perspective.
Mm-hmm. In here, for example, and I'm just using very simple examples, we can talk about them later, but look at these items here, ROI, risk rating. So many people have very complex formulas to identify the risk on a schedule, and they need to ask the project managers, go and update your risk issue in SharePoint, put this flag on, and then you extract all the information. Sometimes the only thing you need is the project manager to tell you at a given point, you know what, my risk level is okay, I can do it, I'm doing fine. Or you can do an escalation and say my risk level is high, without having to go to all the details. Again, we're going back to what Doug was saying at the beginning. It's project management on your terms. Maybe you're not ready for a very full risk management system, and then you can easily just plug a task in a flag that a PM can easily update, and then you have it for all the portfolio, for all the projects you have.
And even this, right? A lot of our key performance indicators varies. Maybe for this one, the risk looks around not only schedule, maybe financial data, a lot of different variables. So for example, we have a project here called Hub Upgrade, and the risk rating is red. So let's click on that, because now I'm interested what's going on with that. So it could drill down at the project level where the project team is actually working off of, and it will take me to the schedule, so I'm looking at that, so it looks fine, but I can simply go to project site to look at some of the other criteria, but guess what? Thanks to the timeline view, high-level roll-up summary, 6 things are already late. That may be driving my risk rating, right? Mm-hmm. And from a resource perspective, I don't even have to deal with that, because once we have our standards in place, our KPI, we can define all this, and the responsibility of the resource is just put in when they started, when, how much more time they need, and all this would roll up to the PMO level.
Yeah, I think some of the key benefits of having a SharePoint site per project, and now where they have in the left pane that you can see all the project detail pages from there. That's a tremendous opportunity to create information at the project level for any metric that you want. You need to pick relevant metrics that are important to your organization. There are some organizations that are more into financials and understanding what the cost of the project is. You can make those PDP pages for that. And now for team collaboration, you go right to the project side, and you can even make use of some of the web parts that are available for Microsoft Project Partners. So basically, Microsoft is giving you the solution and is enabling you to manage your solution the way you need it. So I think there is tremendous potential in custom fields at the task, as I said before, at the resource level, and for team collaboration in here. I mean, who saw this demo this morning? It was very similar to your demo when they have this app that you can do the updates in your phone and everything and send it. We need to make things easier for the people who are working on that. Again, do not put processes in place thinking as a PMO. collaborate more with your project managers and understand what they live on a day-to-day basis, and then create the tools for them is intuitively, is naturally.
So 1 second, Isabel. Two things. First, I know a lot of Microsoft folks are giving me dirty looks because I'm using a Mac. Get over it.
Yeah.
This is reality. BYOD. I mean, when iPads first came out, who in the organization has to have their iPads? IT and the check writers, right? That's the reality we live in. And we talked about that earlier in Collaborate Efficiently. But when we manage these things, what we deliver to decision makers should be something they would want to consume in the way they want to consume it, right? I love my Mac. And I love Office 365 and Project Online because it works. Now, one area I just want to talk about quickly is Isabel raised resource issues, resource management. I've worked with a lot of organizations, and their biggest pain point, at least a lot of them, is just getting their head around their resources. A lot of IT organizations are working on tons of projects, but they don't have visibility on can we take on more work? I've been in organizations every Tuesday morning, they do resource planning. They put up Excel spreadsheets and they play Tetris. Resource Tetris. And then at the end of the year, they want to ask for more headcount, and then when they're asked to justify it, it's so hard for them to prove it. They just know they need more people, but they don't have raw data. Mm-hmm. But with something like this, I can pull up specific resources real time. I can look at who's doing what's the capacity, what's the availability, and boy, that's so powerful from an executive level, from a PMO level as well.
Yeah, and again, depending on your organization, if you try to implement all the resource assignments and resource allocation graphs that are coming out of the box, and you believe that you don't have perfect schedules with, that are updated on a weekly basis, there is another opportunity for you to have a status update with project managers, have information about what the risk items are. You can create, again, drop-down list and select from, technical difficulties, resource difficulties, and everything. At AMD, we implemented something called the resource pools. So we don't do availability based on John, Christina, Paula, and Nicholas. What we do is we have resource pools, and we gather all the functional teams that are working on the projects, and PMs will raise, I have issues with this specific functional area. The project schedule may not show in availability curves and may not show in the graphics in project server, but we still get that visibility when we have to report. And it's all via the custom fields that we have. So that's a message that in an area where everyone can pretty much take this to any level they have. I think the possibilities are exponential. The graphs and the business intelligence capabilities, you saw some of them this morning in the demos, they are endless. There are multiple solutions that are brought by partners. There are solutions that you can do. There are a bunch of people who are getting certifications on developing the tools for Microsoft. Look at the reports that now you can do with SSRS easily that are coming up, where they demoed this morning. So it's really an area where you can take all that data, because at the end, you have a bunch of data. You need to make it real information for decision making. So it's very important. For that, this is something that you can probably picture. Who's from Russia? Oh, great. I love these dolls. I love these Russian dolls. And these matryoshkas, if I pronounce it correctly. Okay? So I love the matryoshkas. And that's exactly what you are being enabled to do. You get the information right for the very detailed data, and you start collapsing and rolling up and rolling up. So you manage access to relevant information at multiple levels. And you can do that very easily, expanding the cube and expanding the dimensions. You can do assignment level, task level, resource level, and bring that to visibility. It's very important to take advantage of those things. Now, if you're a PMO, remember the concept of the dolls. I mean, if this one in the middle is something you do like this, it's not going to fit any longer to roll up. So think always about what the outputs of your reports or the outputs of your data is before you start designing the solutions to gather the information. So basically, you think first about the outputs before designing what the inputs that are needed in your system.
So, Isabel, along that line, just want to quickly show an example. This morning, and maybe some of the sessions already talked about this technology called PowerView. I love this reporting capability. It started in 2013 line of products in Excel, SharePoint, Project Online, all that good stuff. So the idea with PowerView, it's a reporting mechanism where you can drill down and forecast data on the fly. So a good example of this is, you guys watch zombie movies? So, they would report to the president, Mr. President, the zombies are now in Anaheim. In 24 hours, it's going to spread through Washington State. In 6 months, we'll all be zombies. Right? So they show this chart, and then suddenly this heat map shows up. Y'all with me? That's what you could do with Power View. So like this, I built a simple project overview report in Excel, and there's instructions how to do this. By the way, all the demos I'm doing, I have step-by-step instructions for you. Okay? So as long as you put your information, would you like that? Okay, so you can do this now with your demo environment. So I just built this. What I did, I went to Excel. I said, go to Project Online, tap on the Project Center, and I want these data. I want to look at these fields, assignment issues, blah, blah, blah. And I saved it back literally to Project Online, to a library called Reports. It looks look like any document library. Mm-hmm. And when you open it on the browser, this is what it looks like. Mm-hmm. So literally, look at this. I can move through, or a decision maker can look through and drill down. I know it's kind of small, so maybe I could filter this based on the criteria I put in. So let's look at the hub upgrade project, and it's going to filter that, right? And again, they could be on their iPads. So you might just create this dashboard for them, put in all the metrics they want to see, so you don't have to build all your PowerPoints every week. Create a link. Okay, Mr. Executive, here's the report. They just click on that, and they go here. And they can slice and dice it however they want. And it's in Excel. And now if they want a copy for themselves, they can simply download it and bring it down. And if they have the right privilege, they can update it as well. Mm-hmm. So very powerful. And from managing organization-wide projects, very useful.
Yeah. I think it goes back to what was said in the beginning. You can be an enabler or an impediment. Some of these reporting capabilities are not going to be available to everybody because it depends on the server settings that you put in the system. So again, as a PMO, I think you have a duty of understanding how these tools work so you can actually enable those things for the project managers. These views, the Power View and the Power Pivot, powerful, very powerful tool. And it's Excel. Everyone loves Excel. So it's not that you have to go to too many places to take a look at those reports. So that wraps up the part of manage efficiently. And then we're going to go to objective number 3. Which is
so winning strategy number 3. We first talk about you got to get everybody on the same page. So we got that. Collaborate efficiently. Step 2 is to be able to manage effectively, being more proactive, being able to automate a lot of this information. The third piece is, and this is the exciting part, once you go Project Online, it's not just a one-hit wonder. Through time, you can grow. So that's why with something like the Microsoft suite of tools, we're not asking you to solve all the problems right away. So going back to that customer who tells me, Docs, I want everything in Project Server, not going to happen. What's your most pressing need initially? Is it scheduling? Is it resource management? Is it visibility? You can tackle on one thing at a time. And what does winning look like? Not the Broncos. Right? Winning looks different for everyone. Some of you doesn't consider Seahawks the winner, which is fine. So winning varies. And the beauty of the Microsoft suite of tools allowing you to deliver project management on your terms is in your project management journey, everybody's different, and it can cater to your needs. Heck, within your organization, the needs are different between groups. For example, your PMO, they're very formal, they need all this stuff, but then maybe the marketing team, all they need is a site that they can work with vendors and whatnot. And I see this a lot in companies where you have formal PMOs, they use this stuff, and guess what? The marketing team, they sign up for Dropbox. They go to Basecamp. Y'all with me? But what about compliance? What about if you need an overall roll-up, all-up view of the company? One of the great things with Project Online is a feature called visibility mode, where non-project managers, where they're doing little projects, ad hoc projects, they can just do it in SharePoint. But from Project Center, you can look into it and pull in schedule information. They don't even have to know. Very powerful stuff. Because before, that was a challenge. You got folks working in SharePoint, you got folks working in Project Server, but it's a disconnect. Yeah? When we talk about project management on your terms, the platform can grow with you. And it's for everyone. You can extend it further. This morning, Jared was talking about, well, Microsoft already provides you a lot of good stuff. The ecosystem is so huge and continues to grow. where not only can you use apps that are out there, you can build your own too. So, for example, let me just highlight a couple apps that I use. So, on this project site, I have this app called Meetings. This is a free app. It's from my company, AppPoint, and it's free, no strings attached. But when I click on, did I click on it? Hold on. There you go. So it's, oh, you know what? I put the wrong link. Give me 1 second here. I put the wrong link. So let me go to, where's my, there you go, Meetings. So what the Meetings app does, it's free. So if you have Project Online, go to the App Store, look for Meetings. The intent is, especially for project meetings, it gets people on the same page because while you're in the meeting, you can put agenda, you can put timer. Everybody can be on this Meetings app, even an iPad, and whatever they type, it centralizes there. And we always are challenged with that in meetings where we take notes and then suddenly a Word document gets emailed back and forth. You know, people are saying the same thing. But real time, as you're typing, you see on the other side, you see in the Meetings app, the word coming up. Right? And then you can put action items, you can export it to PDF, you can put agenda timer. So let's see, I created this meeting for my presentation here. And this, by the way, works hand in hand with my project site. So it's there, it's free. Right? Another situation I've been in, and maybe some of you are in, well, Ducks, we've got SharePoint sites, and let's say I go with Project Online, right? Can I move stuff? You know, that's one of the big questions I get a lot. You know, I've got a bunch of environments. Can I move stuff? Absolutely. There's solutions out there like this one where I'm pulling up a bunch of regular SharePoint sites and I have PWA. I can literally grab a whole site, move it over, grab a list or a library. Heck, I could grab a single file. No, I could grab a version of a file and move it. And along with what's going to be moved is the permissions around it, etc. Right? And again, this is a cloud offering. You know, I'd be happy to talk to you more about that. But these things are already out there. There are also partners with solutions that allows us to move from on-prem to the cloud. So really, I mean, there's so much options. You can even tie a line of business solutions. I've seen CRM integrations. I've seen TFS integrations. There's sessions around that too.
Yeah.
So
basically, you can take the solution to any level that you want, depending on your company needs. So we hope the 3 strategies that we mentioned to you kind of ring and click something. You know, sometimes you don't know where you are really on the next steps on project management, and then you find something and you go, okay, this is it. I can go in this level. And again, so many people go and say, oh, no, in my company, we cannot start with Project Server because the schedules are not up to date and they are not perfect. They don't have to be perfect, and they don't have to be by the minute, by the hour. So basically, to recap, collaborate efficiently. You have a lot of tools, SharePoint, the demos that we show you, where you can take Microsoft Project, leveraging the integration with SharePoint, the easiness to customize the solution without IT development or anything like that. Manage effectively, enabling all your solutions, your processes, simple, oversimplify, and then start adding depending on what's working and what's not. So manage that effectively, and then win consistently. I think I cannot agree more with Ludovic's statements this morning when he says we're envisioning this, we're bringing more focus to the solution, be up to speed with everything that Microsoft is doing. Take advantage of being here these 3 days. This is source of creativity for everybody. Go take a look at what partners are doing. Think big, as they say, what your next project is going to be about. Visit the booths, take a look at the partners. Mingle with people, ask other PMOs, other project managers, what do they do with the solution? And take advantage of these 3 days because it really helps you to think about the next steps.
I just want to finish up with this story. So I started my story earlier about the US EPA of water. This is actually a published case study. And so they were challenged with that. And they had all the Microsoft tools. And my team had the opportunity to work with them. So essentially, here's the thing. We want visibility into this, Docs. We've been trying, and putting in Project Server, we're doing all that stuff. But we want visibility into this. And by the way, we have a government mandate by January 1 to have something. This was October 31. Okay? And the holidays are there as well. So that's a big need. We went through this process, getting people on the same page. Their key metrics are just to watch how they're spending money, and money ties to schedule. We rolled out the first phase in 2 months. By January 1, something was out. We worked with Project Host, the partner, so it'd be cloud-based solution. At that time, there's no Project Online yet. And what was the result? 2 months after, as they started using this, so all the vendors put their updates, their time. They don't care about resourcing, but they just have visibility to schedule and the budget. They were able to save $2 million because decisions were made right away. Oh, this is behind. Stop doing that. Don't buy this. $2 million of your money and my money. Right? And we're still continuing to work with them. Now we're doing integration with TFS. It's moving into other parts of the organization. And that's the value. To win, you can't solve world hunger. But you got to take baby steps one at a time. But you have to do it. You got to look for what's your main need, what's your key need. You ready to break bad project management? How's everything so far? Useful? Good.
Okay.
So with that being said, like I promised everyone, as long as you put your contact info, I'll send you a copy of my book. All the resources in the presentation, all my demos, I'll give you step-by-step how to do these, recorded videos. And don't forget to fill out your session evaluation. So if you could do it, the sooner the better. We would greatly appreciate that. And there's a lot of other great sessions that are coming up. If you can, I invite you tomorrow to join me and Jan Collis in the morning as we talk about how do you pick the right tool. And then in the afternoon, I'll talk about social. I'll talk about the value of enterprise social from a project management perspective, but more importantly, how do you drive sustainable adoption? That's the biggest challenge. You throw all this, how do you make people use this stuff and happily use this stuff? So with that, we'll be around. So if you have questions, let us know. If not, thank you for being a gracious audience and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.